Oh look, I think we have another figure on the way.
Deborah, what year is it?
1947, Dad. This is your skit.
Today is...
No, not yet, Dad. Just wait.
銀座方面に向かっています。銀座にいる方は警察と指示に従って直ちに避難を開始してください。信じられない光景が広がっております。にわかには信じられないような巨大な生物怪物が銀座を蹂躙しております。
Today is...
No, not yet.
Now?
Not yet.
I need a figure of that. Now's a good time?
Now's good.
Today
Is...
Fuck!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Monster Report, a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. And as you can see, I'm doing alright. Godzilla, Ginza, the time travel, 1947. It's just a skit, everyone can calm down. Deborah, she'll be alright. She'll spend some time in the hospital and maybe regenerate after a little bit of time and see how she's doing. But we did get our Suffix Godzilla Heat Ray edition from Godzilla -1, the Ichibansho Yuji Sakai sculpted figure here, the Heat Ray version that I do not have yet, and obviously now we have it, so that completes it, and we'll compare it a little later in this video to show you kind of what it looks like compared to the non-Heat Ray version, the Odo Island one, and everything that's been coming out of Bandai Namco, Suffix, all these Ichibansho figures, and yes, I've figured out how to say that term at this point. So, but anyways, again, if you are here, thank you for joining us and liking and subscribing to this channel. Getting close to that 100,000 subscribers. Again, it is so close. We can just taste it, and we all thank you here at Monster HQ for all the support that you've given us. Follow us, leave a like. All of our social outlets that we have out there, Facebook, Instagram, and on X. And with all that out of the way, we have the Heat Ray version. Let's get into this box and check it out. And there we have it. He's out of the packaging, ready to be checked out and reviewed here on the Monster Report. I neglected earlier to mention where I purchased this. This is a figure that comes courtesy of Seismic Toys, so check out Seismic Toys for all kinds of great deals. You also find Seismic Toys at a lot of cons, for instance G-Fest and Kaiju Brooklyn, so definitely check out Chris and his crew there, and of course the website, which I will leave a link in the description. He gave me a great deal on this, and of course you will find these when he sets up his table. So if you are in the market for one of these, talk to Chris, because this is a beautiful figure. Oh my goodness. Love to see Godzilla in -1 about to breathe his atomic breath. For that time in Ginza, of course, when we didn't see, it wasn't the first time we saw the atomic breath, but it was the first time we saw him just unleash, just his anger upon Japan and the military that was firing upon him, and it was just such a cool, incredible scene. So I'm very glad to make this part of the collection. So we have the biggest difference between this and the other version, and I will get the other version out for comparison, of course. is the translucent looking blue dorsal fins. If you compare this with the film, I would say this is a bit more on the darker blue than the film used, but still works well to make this stand out on the shelf. And of course that's what you want to do. Mr. Sakai, Yuji Sakai, who sculpts these, definitely has the presence, but of course the paint to make this figure pop out on the shelf like that. A lot of times you've seen Godzilla in the midst of the heat ray versions that are out there, whether the dorsal fins are lit up blue like this or in very white light almost with just maybe hints of blue, but this works really well. Of course, when we saw Godzilla that he was about to breathe in for the plunge, basically for the purge of his atomic breath, he is inhaling, and you see all that blue happening in his mouth too. That is represented here. So we have that effect of what's about to happen, and this is an angle you would not want to be facing Godzilla with, is a downwind of his breath, his atomic breath that he's got to unleash upon you. Again, like the other figure, this is the exact same sculpt, but we have a different material for these dorsal fins. I can definitely tell in the flexibility. It still has that sharpness to it, but I'd imagine that because of its translucent quality, we do have, a bit of difference in that. One thing that probably happened within shipping and heat and things like that, if it even shows up, is one of these dorsal fins definitely took a little bit of bend, and that's something that I can bend back into place, with just some time and effort, but you see that there is some flexibility with it. It is pretty rigid, but you wouldn't want to put too much strength into that, readjusting it, just kind of taking your time with it and giving it some TLC until you get it into the shape you need. But other than that, I didn't see too many quality control issues. Maybe just a spot or two of paint that may have spilled in the lower portions of the dorsal fins here, but again, nothing too major there. Always looks great, and to kind of see those dorsal fins all extended out, like they're about to be a trigger, hitting the button to unleash a bomb, essentially. So that is, just great to see. Now let's bring in the other Ichibansho, Godzilla -1 for comparison. Obviously, like I said a second ago, was the same sculpt, same pose. Everything's really the same, with the exception of the dorsal fins being that translucent, because as you saw in the other review, and you should check out that other review if you haven't had the chance, dark dorsal fins with the shades of brown in them, no translucency on these at all, and these are very sharp. These, again, I'm sure they're a different material, or just maybe a different type of vinyl, let's just say, because again of the flexibility that these on the standard version don't have much of that flexibility in the same way as these do. Maybe it's just the softer, just a slightly softer Sofix vinyl, if you will, and so that's probably the big difference in that piece that makes up the dorsal fins, just has that property of being a little bit more flexible. And I had that same dorsal fin kind of in comparison, the one that is kind of stretched out and pointed a different way. It almost looks like it's the, like the Destroya, where in Godzilla vs. Destroy, the meltdown version of Godzilla, where the dorsal fins literally look like they're melting. And this could have been, again, caused in shipping and heat variances, things like that happen. It wouldn't be considered necessarily a quality control issue as much as it is just, shipping, coming from Japan, and, anything can happen there. But love that pose, love that sculpt, but the biggest thing is paint. How you light a figure is vastly important. So obviously when we had the Ginza attack, and it always has that 1940s look to it, so sepia tones, and Godzilla here of course has these brown tones going on all over the place. You still have some of those brown tones in the heat ray version, kind of giving again the nostalgia look for it, but lit up across the shoulders, through the mouth, down the legs, even the chest and the neck here, just giving it a bit of accent of that blue paint, so that the lighting of what Godzilla is doing, he is emanating that radiation, that blue light coming from him to make this figure, just look like he's right into that scene, just jumping right out of that scene. Because of course lighting, would be a property of that. And judge me or whatever on the skit that I, shoot. I'm not, a visual effects artist by any stretch, but it's something I just enjoy doing. And so lighting, of course, trying to composite something that is a CGI character into a scene and making it look real, and making the audience believe that you are seeing something in front of the camera versus something that was, added later by animators. I still love the visual effects of Godzilla -1. The fact that this isn't a man in a suit does not, worry me too much. This is the modern age. This is 2023 when this came out, of course. So we have a CGI character, a CGI Godzilla. And much, to maybe my, displeasure, I probably won't be seeing too much of the tokusatsu from Toho, with maybe the exception of the Godzilla short films that are out there that come out every year or so. But to see someone in the Godzilla -1 suit would be incredible. But let's get back to this figure. So again, that Ginza attack, seeing the dorsal fins, it could have been one of two ways. I was wondering, before unboxing this, that if we were going to see the dorsal fins in a more extended version, kind of like you see them popping out, and then maybe the standard version would have them a little bit lower and tighter to the back. So that didn't happen here. They are exact, duplicates of one another, but maybe that was just something. Again, it's a cost-saving kind of thing, but it doesn't diminish from how much you can love this figure on the shelf there. So not too worried about that. And maybe just if there's any criticism to say, that would have been kind of nice to see, is that these dorsal fins would be more extended out, like he's about to hit the trigger. But they are where they are, in the exact same pose and in the exact same proportions and format, whatever you want to call that. If you look deeper into the dorsal fins, you do see that the blue shades into a white color, actually. So it kind of has that frosted look, if you will. As it gets closer to his back, it diminishes into white rather than into dark, and then, switches immediately into a darker tone. And as you can see, those accents that are across the back there, as this is emanating light, it would reflect, of course, off of the skin, but it's reflecting blue light on a very dark charcoal black and brown, if you will. So they're showing, how that would reflect even across the chest, as I mentioned before. However much that shows up on screen, you can kind of see some of those blue accents happening around the mouth, up the neck, over the shoulders. Just very well put together and very well thought out. Down the tail, of course, you have those blue accents happening on the outsides of it. Even dark blue, that's, of course, what it would probably look like, reflecting off of the different textures that would happen across his, back and spine and dorsal fins. And we have, for scale, still love the Ichibansho Odo Island version of Godzilla. And so, and this isn't always one that you have difficulty getting him exactly on those pegs. It kind of takes a little bit of care to make sure you're getting it exactly right. The Odo Island variant, showing what his scale would be like after he was bombarded with the atomic bomb there, and grew to enormous proportions, but still a great looking figure, despite the fact that it wasn't a Yuji Sakai sculpted figure. And if someone knows that if it was actually a Yuji Sakai, just know that he wasn't credited for this Odo Island sculpt on the box or anywhere online that I could see. Let me know about that. But it's still a great figure to add to the collection, and very affordable too. But again, yeah, having the -1 variants here, all standing together, gotten to the point where, they've got a whole shelf that's almost a shrine to Godzilla -1, if you will, and it is, just growing and growing, because this film is just, it's just amazing. It's outstanding, these figures and this sculpt. the collectibles that we can get from -1, and everything from even like Super 7 small figures that are out there, blind boxes, and like what we have here with Bandai Namco. X Plus has their -1 versions, of course, too. So many variants that are out there. Even, the Bandai $30 to $40 kind of figures that you can find. I found one at Books A Million. I found, a few at FYE and different places like that. So, there's a -1 out there for you if you're a collector. And again, I'm just so grateful to have this in the collection and pick this up recently. We've got a lot more figures coming out. Actually, the next one will be a SH Monster Arts that I found recently. So the -1 collection just keeps going in various scales and various poses, forms, articulation. Some are non-articulated, like these are incredibly, detailed but not articulated. And it's good to kind of have both of those in the collection if you are a big -1 fan. I'm also a Godzilla 1984, 1985 fan, Return of Godzilla, if you will. So I've got to have just about everything that comes from that movie. My good friend Everett out there, 1962, that's his Godzilla, so that's the one he's got to always pick up on, or Titanosaurus, so there's all, the collectors that are out there. You will find your Godzilla that you kind of, start building your collection upon, and then the other monsters that he fights or encounters along the way in the various movies that we have. And we're already, past the 70-year mark for Godzilla, and we've already had an announcement. Takashi Yamazaki working on the sequel to Godzilla -1. That's exciting because we didn't get our sequel to Shin Godzilla. We won't get our sequel, as I understand it, for Shin Godzilla. So to have one for -1 is definitely well worth it. So, again, let us know what you think of in the comments. Did you pick up this figure, any of these Ichibansho figures, Yuji Sakai figures that are your favorites, anything that is -1 related or Godzilla related that you just really find pops into your collection? And whether it's a Heat Ray variant, Odo Island, whatever it may be, let us know in the comments what you think about this video. Let me know also what you think about the skits. We're having a lot of fun with them as a family, putting those together and just making these shows a little bit more entertaining for you out there. And it's because of your support that gets us excited to do these things and to unbox these figures, to do the live show, to do the monster trailers, all of these great things that we're doing here at Monster HQ. So, from me, Nick Adam, your host here of the Monster Report, a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history, we have the Godzilla Ichibansho Yuji Sakai Heat Ray version, part of the collection, and follow us on all our socials, subscribe, like down below, smash that like button, atomic blast that like button, as we like to say here, and follow us again, Instagram, Facebook, and on X.
X.
And we will catch you again on another episode of Box Day here on the Monster Report.